Today we're talking about what one major US airport is doing to make sure that its vendors, its shops, and its restaurants get back to normal operating hours for the first time since before the pandemic. My name is Nick, by the way, and I love making travel videos, but I also love taking a look at news items that are relevant to travel, and so that's what we're going to do today. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and jump into it. So hat tip to the Points guy for this story. That's a great website for news and travel news and reviews, so be sure to check them out. But this story comes from Sky Harbor International Airport in Arizona. And apparently beginning yesterday at the time of recording this, which was June 1st, the airport is going to start levying fines against its vendors who don't return to normal operating hours and offer their full menus as agreed to in their contracts that they signed with the airport authority. So my first reaction to this is that it seems a bit extreme, especially because lately it's obvious to all of us that businesses in general are struggling since coming out of the pandemic, or you can argue if we're still in it, but basically everywhere is struggling to get back to where they were before the pandemic. But at the same time, there's probably an explanation, so let's see why the airport is resorting to this. So reading from the article, it says, at the public meeting last week, airport officials said, despite passenger traffic largely returning to, and in some cases surpassing, 2019 levels, retailers all too often still have their doors closed. While this can mean fewer shopping options, the more immediate concern for passengers involves the food and beverage spots. As of last week, the airport reported nearly a quarter of its food and beverage vendors had not yet reopened from pandemic closures. Finding a drink or something to eat can be even more challenging depending on where in the airport you go. In Phoenix's Terminal 3, for instance, the airport says only about 2/3 of its food and beverage vendors are open. On top of that, anyone who has flown in the last year knows things can be even worse if you have an early morning or late night flight. Well, not anymore, at least that's what the airport hopes. So what airport officials seem to be arguing here is that traffic through the airport is finally picking up, and it's in a lot of ways gotten to what it was before the pandemic, and in some cases it's even surpassed those kinds of numbers, yet we're still having closures of vendors and restaurants resulting from the pandemic. So not only does that mean that there are less options for travelers passing through the airport to get food or drinks or to shop for an essential that they need, but the places that are open now have longer lines, and that just compounds the issue even more. Now, you might be asking yourself, is the airport really going to enforce this though? I mean, how can they push the issue? Well, let's read, because it seems like they're serious about it. It says in the article, PHX officials have warned the vendors they're going to be roaming the airport terminal starting next month looking for concessionaires that are not living up to the hours of operation in their contract. They'll also be using video technology to monitor when vendors' lights go on and off. Food and beverage retailers could face a $1,000 fine for not being open. Retail shops could face a $100 fine for contractual violations. Restaurants could also face violations for not returning to full menus that offer accommodations for passengers with dietary restrictions. So as you can see, Sky Harbor International Airport is not screwing around here. And I get it, right? I don't know about you guys, but at least in my own travels, I can think of multiple instances where things were closed and it turned out to be a major inconvenience for me when I was traveling. A couple of things that come to mind is my home airport here in Portland, Oregon. I left for Vegas. I flew out on a Sunday afternoon at one point last year in 2021. And I remember that a lot of things were closed just randomly with no explanation. Sunday afternoon in the middle of the day. And even like the fast food burger place that we have a place called Burgerville that's regional around here in Oregon. And they have a location at the airport, and even that was closed. And I found that to be really disappointing. Another time was one of the trips to Vegas last year when I was flying home early in the morning at 6 a.m. There was a Burger King right next to my gate, and I was hoping to at least get a breakfast sandwich, but even that was closed. So there were no options in my part of the airport except for one of those like newsstand convenience stores. So I went in there and found something that I didn't really want for breakfast, and as a result also had to wait in a really long line to get it. So it really mirrors what they seem to be seeing at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport and what the airport is trying to correct here. So there is an obvious problem, and I'm glad that the airport is trying to do something to fix it. Now there is the other side of the coin where I understand why some of these places can't get the staff that they need, and this is a problem everywhere, but the article actually points out, it makes some good points about why at the airport the issue of being short-staffed is even more compounded and even more of a problem. The article says, as so many businesses have seen, it's not an easy task. It's harder at airports, Phoenix officials pointed out, mentioning how airport restaurants often have similar wages to businesses out in the community, but with additional challenges in parking, getting a badge, and going through security each day. At the same time, ahead of a busy summer travel season, Phoenix Sky Harbor is now making clear it expects these vendors to live up to their contracted hours of operation. So what do you guys think? Will this actually work? Will these places return to normal operating hours and things will just get better? Or are places going to get these fines and then not even be able to operate at all, permanently close, and possibly the vendor situation gets worse before it gets better, before they can get vendors in there who can actually live up to contractual obligations that the airport's looking for? I'd be curious what you think in the comments. If you wouldn't mind commenting below, let me know what your experience has been with this and if you think this is a good idea or not. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for the video today. I just thought that this was an interesting item because it's a problem that we're seeing all over the place with travel and things not recovering from the pandemic. But this is a bit of a wild solution in my opinion, and I'm really interested to see if it works out, because if it does, then we're probably going to see it other places as well. Because like I said, at least in my experience, this is not just a problem in Phoenix, but as well as other airports that I've been through. And don't forget to like the video if you got any value out of this, and please consider commenting below and also subscribing to the channel if you wouldn't mind. It's a way that's 100% free that helps support the channel. It really helps me out. It's free for you. And like I always say, if you get tired of me later, you can always undo it. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.